While foam rolling has been around for a number of years, we've seen more and more folks begin to pick up massage guns and head to a massage therapist more frequently to get a massage to help with the tightness. But how often should you get a massage, and do they actually help you? We're going to cover that in today's video. While massage has been around for what seems like a millennia, there are a couple different considerations that we have to take as we look at it from a perspective of an endurance athlete. Let's look at the three primary perspectives. Number one is that when you're going for a massage, you're thinking about tight muscles. And when a muscle is tight, that usually means that it's trying to do its number one job, and that is to protect a joint. A muscle's number one job in the body is to protect a joint. Number two is to stabilize a joint while an adjacent joint moves. And then number three, finally, is to move a joint. So when we're going for a massage and we're hitting these tight muscles, that is often the body's way of telling you that that area needs to be worked on. Now, in some cases, a tight muscle might be tight because it's what's called adaptive shortening. This would be like the chest muscle from riding on your bike so long. Because that muscle is not being put through its full range of motion, it just says, cool, bro, I don't have to do that much work. I'm just going to sit here and kick back and tighten down so I don't have to work as hard. Now, over time, that's going to challenge you to be able to have good movement. And this is one of the very many reasons why simply going into the gym and mimicking cycling, swimming, and running positions or movements and saying, oh, well, it's cycling specific is doing more harm than good. Is there a time and a place for lunges or being in that plank position, in a TT position? Sure, absolutely, but it's few and far between. The primary goal of a strength training program is to help you unwind and counterbalance all of those movement deficiencies and positional challenges that we have from being in a sport that's highly repetitive. The same thing goes for swim, bike, and run. You can't just copy your running or swimming movements and say, oh, well, this looks like the swimming stroke, so it must be good for me. We have to look at what muscles are not being used, what muscles are tight, and how can we get you to have better human movement so that you're able to function better. That is literally where the term functional training comes from. So if you didn't know that, or you did know that, hit the subscribe button down below and give this video a thumbs up. Now, the number two consideration is that when you go to a massage therapist, and they should be a licensed massage therapist for the type of massage you're going for. I can't stress this enough. Anybody in the world can call themselves a masseuse. Heck, my wife says sometimes when I work on her shoulder, she says, you should be a masseuse. Sure, I know enough about trigger points and how things go in the body, but I don't understand the tissues like a licensed massage therapist does. There's a certain standard of knowledge and understanding that you do want to have your massage therapist have, because one, it will allow them to be able to do just enough, and two, allow them to help guide you to be able to recover well from your massage. Now, when you're working with a licensed massage therapist, there are some places where it might be covered by your insurance, which would be awesome considering how expensive our sports of swim, bike, run are.
No, she's really good, and she's not just a masseuse, she's a physical therapist. There's a big difference. She uses the ultrasound. It's a real medical procedure. In fact, if you get a doctor's note, it's covered by insurance.
I know you probably feel like George in that clip when I said it's covered by insurance. Now, I don't know for a fact, I don't know your personal coverage, but what I do know is that you can find some partial coverage in some parts of the US and Canada. It just depends on the person who you're working with as well as your insurance carrier. So it's something to check out. Now, when you're going to a licensed massage therapist, one of the other things you want to think about is finding someone who knows what they're talking about to refer you. So even if your insurance doesn't cover it, if you've worked with a physical therapist or a really good in-person coach, you may be able to tap into their network where they have a sports performance network and they can help you connect with that individual. So number one, understanding that the muscles that are tight are telling you something. Those muscles are tight for a reason, and we've got to work not just on releasing them, but also on strengthening them and helping you function better. Number two is making sure you're working with a licensed massage therapist for that type of massage.
You have a license to sell these balloons? License?
Now, the last part, the third part, and this one is often overlooked. Massage is a tissue breakdown. You are doing manual physical labor, or the massage therapist is, to release that tissue. And that means, and this is why the therapists tell you, make sure you drink lots of water, get some rest, and eat well for the next 24 to 48 hours. You are physically breaking down the tissue, and you are trying to break up these knots where the muscle has essentially closed down in an effort to do that. Number one, protect that joint. That means that you are now going to have less energy in order to go out and do your training, and less energy to adapt to the training that you had done before. This is why it is not recommended to go to do a sports massage every week or every other week, unless you're going through a very short period or dealing at a high performance level. You're getting paid to perform, and you have to be able to come in day after day and perform well. And even in that case, a lot of the masseuses that I know, the really good ones, when you come in for those, it's a very light session. They don't really go super deep. They do just enough to work in parallel with your strength coach, your physical therapist, or whichever sports performance professional you're working with, to allow you to incrementally get a little bit better every single time, and just to keep an eye on the things. Now, this is where a lot of people get confused. They hear about professional athletes going to massage therapists weekly and thinking, well, oh, I'm going to go get a sports massage every week. Yes and no. How much energy do you have? How high of a quality training have you been able to do? And how well have you been recovering between your trainings? If you find that the answer to any of these three or all of these three is not that great, and I just haven't seen the gains that I'm looking for, you may not need a sports massage or a deep tissue massage all that often. In fact, I only recommend going 2 to 3 times a year to get a sports massage or any type of massage, unless, again, you're going through a period where you do need that skill set. Then even then, the great therapists are going to have you come back less frequently than you think, or more frequently at the beginning, and then maybe not at all. Again, it all comes back to point number 2. Make sure you find a licensed manual therapist in the specific type of massage that you need. So that's it. That's the considerations we want to take before we jump into lots and lots of massage. Now, this can be a touchy subject, but we do want to make sure that you have the right considerations. When the body is tight, muscles are tight, we tend to think that we need to release it. The foam roller, lacrosse ball, massage gun. However, one of the first places we want to go with that thought is, what is my body trying to tell me? What positions or postures am I in that might be causing that to either shorten down or to tighten up because other muscles that act against it are tightening down? And that will allow you to begin to think about, how do I build better performance versus just how do I make it feel better for about an hour or a day or 2 days, and then you have to go back again. So I hope you found today's video to be helpful and useful. And until next time, remember, train smarter, not harder, because it is all about you.